Okay, everybody, today Aidan wants to show you guys his newest fan. Show them your fan. Show them your fan. Let them see it. Show it to the camera.
Where?
They're right there. Everybody's over there.
Are you over there?
Yeah, say hi.
Hi.
Alright guys, when we come back, me and Aidan's gonna unbox this really different looking fan. I've never seen it before, but I think me and Aidan want to take it out and take a better look. What do you think?
That rainbow.
It's a rainbow.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's got RGB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try.
So as me and Aidan showed you guys in the intro, we're going to show you guys this Zalman SL120 fan with rainbow.
Yeah, rainbow.
Rainbow. So it's got RGB. What does a fan do, Aidan?
Be around.
So I'm not sure if you guys may know this fan. We've never seen this fan before, and it looks pretty different and pretty neat. So again, me and Aidan's going to unbox it, see what it comes with. We're going to plug it in, get it going, just, you know, give you guys our all-around opinion on this Zalman SL120. Are you ready for a high-performance RGB cooling fan with biometrics?
Yeah.
Or biomimetics?
Yeah.
Biomedics?
Yeah.
Okay, biomimetics. Biomimetics, I'm not lying. It says it's biomimetics. What's biomimetics?
Don't tell you.
Oh, okay. It's what he said. You ready to unbox it?
Yeah. Alright.
Crazy,
We
baby.
do it, Dad.
So, I hope from that intro with Aidan we gained a new subscriber. So, this is a Zalman SL120. So, I'm assuming the SF is for like super flow or something. So, it's a case fan. But nowadays, most fans, they're all hybrids. They're made for airflow, they're made for radiators. So, it really doesn't matter if you buy a fan that was created in the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. They're all gonna be good for a radiator, all be good for airflow in a case. So, don't get too hung up on the first letters too much. And the reason I say that is you may have heard of airflow, which is for case, and then static pressure, which would be for a radiator. Maybe that's what this stands for, static flow. So probably telling you it's good for either a radiator or a case. But again, that's all fans nowadays. And that word I said earlier, I wasn't joking, it's right here. So high performance RGB cooling fan with biomimetics. I do not know what that means. Again, it's a 120. PWM max is 1500 RPM with a 28.0 dBA. I have no equipment to test that, but you know, we'll hear it in a moment once I hook it up. So Zalman's got their own thing called Z-Sync, and it obviously works with like Razor Chroma and these other ones.
I'm ready, Dad.
You ready?
Yeah.
Give me a minute and we'll get to it. And it comes with some instructions on the back. Connector for motherboard system, fan controller 4-pin 12 volt. Connector to other motherboard 3-pin 5 volt. Connector to gigabyte motherboard 3-pin 5 volt. So it's gonna come with some extra stuff in here. So that's pretty cool. 120, but it's also 26 millimeter. So that's the thickness. It weighs 120 grams. The material is PC, PBT, acrylic. Bearing type is FDB, fluid dynamic bearing. Max noise level is 28 dBA, and then those other things. Max airflow is 54 CFM. Pin connectors 4-pin PWM, 3-pin addressable. Max air pressure is 1.1 mmH. Blah blue. I have no idea what that means. Lifespan is 100,000 hours.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, son. Installation guide, so it's telling you how to actually do it. Notice for push pin direction. Streamlined hole. Okay, cool. So let's see what it comes with. So, oh, this is a low noise adapter. So something that like Noctua fans come with is a low noise adapter. And that's just basically, well, what it stands for, low noise adapter. All right, so that's cool, it came with that. Here, oh, these are a little bit, oh, these are push pin. Okay, now I see what the instructions are talking about. These are a little bit different than our regular screws for our fans. And then it did came with regular fan screws also. So besides missing that one wire, which I think is not on Zalman. I think that's my fault. I had opened this when I first received it, and I could swear I saw it. So I probably just dropped it. But that wire is only important for gigabyte motherboards. So unless you really need that wire and some stupid thing happened and you lost yours, you're really gonna need that adapter. But if you don't have a gigabyte motherboard, then disregard it. Besides that, you got your regular 2 connections. You got your 5-volt RGB right here, 3-pin, and you got your 4-pin PWM fan connection. So as you can tell, it's a pretty neat design fan. It's got some pretty cool designs. I'll bring it up close for you guys. Check it out. It's got those extra blades in the middle. The bigger blades on the top have an extra curvature right there. Check that out. A lot of design, a lot of effort went into these fans to create something different. You know, all you fan people, fan people, have no creativity with your fans. So yeah, take that by Zalman. Look what Zalman did. So Zalman's fans are pretty unique in this regard. I don't remember seeing another fan that had a look like this, and that's kind of why I purchased it. So as you may notice, there's no cage. Now that's kind of the reason why I got this fan. But there's going to be pros and cons to this problem. Now, problem, that's on the con side. We'll go back to the pros. It's very nice. It's very different looking. If you like your gaming machine to look like a gaming machine, these are definitely fans I would point out to you to go for. Reason being, again, they don't have a cage. They're a little bit different. The fan blades are really like cut 'em up style, you know? They kind of look like something from like Mortal Kombat or something. Also, the other side. Check that out. How cool, right? So all this is RGB. You see all this lights up. Something like this. So the center lights up, this lights up, and if my brain is correct, I'm assuming this is the way the airflow will travel. That's what I'm assuming. Cage side. Even though it has the lack of a full cage, this is still the cage side. But as you can tell, the housing is a little odd on how you actually put the screws in. I'll show you guys when we actually bring a case and we install this. So we got our RGB coming through here. It's got this plastic diffuser, and in the middle I can see a whole mess of LEDs going in a circle. And you can see that hook better in the back also for this fan. Now, why I feel that this is not a good pick for radiators. Number one is it doesn't have a full cage. It's not closing off. Here, I'll show you guys with another fan. Yeah, here's a regular fan, okay? You see how the cage completely keeps the fans inside of this little area? So what's happening is air is forced to go in, to go straight, you know? Here, you don't have that. So air could come out through here, and splash all around. And if you have this sitting on a radiator, well, all that's gonna happen is air is going to splash around. And even if this was to pull hot air out of a radiator, and using this in a pull config instead of a push config, you know, to pull hot air through the radiator fins, you're still not going to get enough static pressure to actually pull out a lot of it. Yes, you will cool off the radiator 100%, but you will not be getting the full potential of that radiator if there's no housing to completely seal off the edges of the radiator. Because if you see that seal, you're going to notice that air will not be able to pass through that seal, at least not a lot of it. Nothing but spillage. For now, we're going to try it on a single 120 rad CLC, that white Enermax one. I'm not going to use it on the NZXT Kraken I got because the pump went out on that stupid Kraken, so yeah. So we're going to try it on that rad, and then we could test the differences and see if I was right or wrong. So now we're actually going to turn this on and take a look at it out of a case first. So here we go. I connected it to microwave, my mini ITX build. And this is how it looks when it's spinning. And guess what? Right now, air would be hitting you in the face. Not this way. Cool, I guess. So yeah, I guess it makes sense because the way the housing is. So this is the way air is flowing. If you were here, the air would be hitting you. So a quick animation to show you guys. There's that side. That's the way air will travel. So that's what it looks like when it's in motion. I also hooked it up to my RGB controller. So we're gonna do a flip. So it would definitely splash pretty good. Okay, so let's see some colors. I'm gonna kill the lights and give you guys some RGB.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. I'm running the race and I'm faster than them. Yeah, yeah. All of the trash, forget them. I'm running the race and I'm faster than them. Yeah, yeah. All of the trash, forget them.
The radiator on the microwave is an exhaust. So this would work for it. It would be exhausting it. Okay, so fine. As an intake, this isn't made for intake. It couldn't do intake. Because again, the way it's set up, this is strictly for exhaust. This fan cannot do intake. Yeah, there's no way unless you put it in between. Like if you got a cool front that allows a radiator mount where you have you got the front plate, you got a radiator mount, and then you have another plate, then maybe in the middle of that, yeah, you probably could then make this like this and cause airflow to come in and, go that direction. Otherwise, you're gonna have to mount it like this to the front of your case. And again, right now, air's hitting me. So again, this looks like mostly for exhaust. And which is going to be fine in this case because that fan is set up as an exhaust. So give me a second, let me take all that apart, and we're going to test this on a radiator. And please excuse any noise you hear in the background. Dogs, kids. My nephews and nieces are staying over for a little bit, so they brought their dog. I got my cat. My mom's got her dog, so there's gonna be a lot of noise in the background, guys. I really apologize. See what I mean? So, if you'd like to change this so I could get my own little studio, like the smallest thing in the world where I could do this in quiet and peace, please feel free. Please feel free to donate to the channel. Please look down below on how you could donate, subscribing. These things do help. If you don't want to pay anything or help out the channel like that, please feel free to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends, because that could help get me out of here too. I mean, help get the channel out of here. So the testing mythology, components, things like that used for all of this. We'll start with the case and the components. So I did a video on this case, if it may look familiar to you guys. We call it microwave or M-Wave. It's the Inwin A1. It's the one that has the charger on the top if your phone has a glass back. Anyways, I did a whole case review on this. I did a build in this. If you're interested, it's on the channel. I'll probably put a card up here in the corner for it. But yeah, that's the case we're using. And the reason why is it's really confined and it can heat up the parts pretty fast. It's got 2 fans on the bottom bringing air in. It's got 1 fan at the rear over there bringing air in. And for exhaust is just a Zalman fan hooked up to that radiator on the Enermax 120. And as you can see, the Enermax 120 does fit in here, and I didn't have to do any crazy finessing, well, a little finessing, but I didn't have to grind or cut anything or remove anything out of the case to do this. One thing I did do, and I think it gave me a lot of room, was I removed the power supply that came with this case, and I added another small, SFF power supply. That way it gave me just a little bit more room, plus it was modular, so it didn't have all the cables like the Inwin 650 watt power supply that was in here. That was non-modular, so I had all the cables on it. All I did was remove it, put a fully modular one in here. That's how I was able to put some nice cables in here for you guys today. The side panel was closed for all testing, so we didn't have this open. We had this closed. The room was at about 24C, and for components we're using a RGB B-450 motherboard, Ryzen 7 3700X, 8-core 16-thread processor, the Enermax 120 for cooling. It's a single 120mm Radiator CLC, and we're using the Red Devil 5700 XT from AMD. And if you know anything about these parts, these are very hot parts. That Radeon card, that Red Devil, gets very hot. It sits at like 99 to 103C when it's at full load on the hot spot. And that's why I chose these parts, and in this case, because this is probably going to be worst case scenario, all puns intended. And for testing, I use Cinebench R20, basically 10 minutes for the stock fan that was in here, and then 10 minutes on this fan. And then I did a straight 1 hour Cinebench run, and then I'm gonna throw on Cinebench and Heaven at the same time. But as of right now, it's been sitting for 1 hour. You could tell by looking at the little clock here in the corner. It's been sitting for 54 minutes and 47 seconds. And we are averaging around 33, 32C, around there in the low 30s, sitting here for an hour like this with the side off, of course. Also, I said I don't feel this would be a good fan for a radiator because there's no real housing around it to direct airflow straight through the radiator. Well, our testing may show something maybe a little bit different than what I thought it would be. So again, we used Cinebench R20 and Hardware Info 64. These were both 10-minute tests. So stock fan in there. On the first run, the first attempt, our score was a 48.78. And the score is important because after every run, you usually do not get a higher score. The warmer your CPU starts getting, the more saturated your radiator gets, or whatever cooling methodology you're using, you're gonna lose points because it's going to start running warmer. So again, the first run we got a 48.78 temps. The hottest core hit 75C, and the rest of the cores averaged around 73, 72C. That was the first run. After 10 minutes, the final score was a 48.55. That's a difference of about 20-ish points, 17 points. And that's not a big difference at all, really and truly. Our hottest two cores both hit 78C, and the rest of the cores averaged around 76, 77, 75C. But there was no throttling. That was our original fan config. Now with the Zalman SL120, our first run was a 47.84. Now that had nothing to do with the fan, by the way, guys. You could run Cinebench 20 different ways and you're always going to have a different starting number for some reason. But, and again, that's only like maybe not even barely 80 point different from the original first score. So moving on. 47.84, and the temps were 75C and an average of 74C. So pretty much the same temperature wise. At the end of 10 minutes, our score had dropped from a 47.84 to a 47.69. That's about 15 points difference, nothing there, but our temperatures show a little bit different here. The hottest core was 80C, and our average core was around 79C. But again, no throttling. After 10 minutes with the regular fan, it was 78C. Then with the Zalman, it was 80C. That 1 or 2C difference is within the reason of error, right? I said that right? It's within error. And then the hottest cores, the average core was 76 after 10, and then 79. 3C is a difference from throttling and not throttling. So you see as the Zalman actually does perform a little bit different all core, well, average core temperature than it did hottest core. But again, there was no throttling. I still ran it for an hour. And the first run was a 47.84 with temperatures hitting 77 on the hottest core and an average of 76 on the rest of the cores. And after an hour, the score was 46.87. So almost a full 100 point drop. But the temps hit 80C with an average of 79C on the rest of the cores. No throttling. Again, really and truly kind of close to throttling, but not. This is the TDP on this CPU. This is the throttling. So we still, I mean, is there room for anything? Not really, you know what I mean? But after an hour of gameplay, this is kind of what you should expect with these fans on a radiator. Now, what you should expect and what's going to happen may be a little bit different. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run Cinebench R20 again, but I'm also going to run Haven in the background. We're going to get the GPU and the CPU both on their 100% load with the side panel on. I'm going to run that for about 10 minutes, and we're going to see then what are the temps. Say you are gaming and you're running this at 100%. What are your temps going to be? Now again, it's been sitting for now over an hour. So everything in there is fully saturated. That radiator is fully saturated at this point. So now let's run those two benchmarks at the same time and see our results. So just for measure, right now we are sitting at an average of around 33, yeah, it looks like 33C across every core. GPU wise, the hotspot 34C, the SoC is at about 25C. That's pretty much our temps on our CPU and our GPU. Now I'm not gonna run an overclock, I'm just gonna leave everything at stock at this point, and then you know, you'll see if there's actually room. If I overclock everything, that's my components. Maybe I have a golden sample here, Red Devil 5700 XT. Yeah, no, it hits 104C on the hotspot while gaming. This is normal. One more thing, I'll be running Heaven DirectX 11, Quality Ultra, Tessellation Extreme, Anti-Aliasing off. So it'll be sitting at the system resolution, which is a 1080p monitor, by the way, guys. Wrong mouse. Alright, so we got Cinebench in the background going on while we got Heaven going on. We're sitting at 116 frames right now at this in this part of the test. So again, yeah, Tessellation's full blast, so that's why those rocks look like that. I wouldn't dare take a buggy down that path. So side panel is on, and now we're gonna let this run for about 10 minutes or so. But another thing I forgot to mention, that in the BIOS, I have all fans running at 100%. And I don't have one of those sound chambers to test sound and dBA, but here. I mean, yeah. Fine. If you're playing a game, watching a video, have headphones on. Matter of fact, while I'm talking, I really don't even hear it. Then again, I'm in my bedroom. Yeah. Again, guys, down below, there's ways of donating to help me get the channel its own private space. I don't mean me. I love being here. I would never want to leave here. Ever. I swear. Like, subscribing, all that stuff is free, by the way. That does help also. Anyways, let's just move on from there. So our score in the end was a 35-36 with our average FPS, I'm assuming, is 140.4 FPS. Again, nothing here was overclocked. Everything is sitting at stock settings. So now let's take a look at our hardware info. So let's start with our CPU. So the max core clock was 43.9, so 4.4 gigahertz. Average was around 3.6. And let's see our temps. Let's see, we maxed out at around 87, yeah, around 87C. We had some 85s and 86. So about 87C on the CPU. There's no room there to really mess around with anything at that point. It did not thermal throttle at all, as we could see right here. No thermal throttling, which is great. Now let's go down and check our GPU. Our GPU memory junction hit 82C, 102C on the hotspot, which is normal for a Red Devil, by the way. And it pulled at around 223 watts. Now with that other fan running both of those tests, it was probably right around that same thing. I'm sorry I didn't save it. I didn't write it down. I hit the button too fast. But it was at around 85C, 86C also. So not really much of a difference. Also, even though I only have one exhaust here, that means I'm running positive pressure, which is kind of the way you gotta go with mini ITX builds. It's gonna be very hard to figure out neutral pressure in a case like this. Yes, I could have put the two at the bottom exhausting air in or bringing fresh air in, and this fan hot air out, that fan hot air out, but I find it a lot better to try and get as much air as you can in these smaller systems that have hotter parts in them, because at that point I kind of rather have positive pressure. There's filters, you know, just you want to check those filters a lot more often, you know, every week or so, clean them out, or 2 weeks. You just want to make sure you're watching dust in a positive pressure system. And that's the results of that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys my opinion on all of it, which is something I've been doing already. But no, we're going to talk about what I think, how it looks, how I feel, if it's worth it or not, things like that. So let's get into that right now. So the Zalman SL120 fan. I was going to order another one, mostly for the look. But, you know, the way it actually does cooling is kind of fine. You know what I mean? If you're looking for extreme cooling fan-wise, Noctua industrial fans. If you're looking for cooling and cooling only. But if you're looking to try and make something look different or odd or something like that, or maybe these just match your theme. Again, these are very radical looking fans. Something I've never seen before on a fan. It does not have full housing. It has those extra blades in the middle. So it's got a different look from any other fan I've seen before. And it does cool literally next to a stock fan. Now, when I said stock, I meant stock. These are the Cirrus Loop 120s. These are the fans that came with this case. They're good fans. They're not that bad, but they're still case fans. You always kind of want to 90% of the time change out those case fans. You know what I mean? If they're not like deep cool wings, whatever, you usually want to change them out. But these fans, what I found is they're very good fans for case fans. This in-wind case is not cheap, and they did not cheap out on the fans either. They're heavy, you know, they move air pretty well. So again, it went against a stock case fan. I did not put this against a Noctua fan. Had I did that, this thing would have lost miserably. Oh, also the silence. You will gain big silence with those fans. This also had a low noise adapter also, so you probably would get a little bit less noise from it than what we heard earlier. You know, here, this is how far I am. So, not that bad really and truly. Again, I forget it's on sometimes. It's not that loud. And the RGB was cool too. I cycled through as many of those things as I could with the button for the in-wind case to change case fans. So you guys got to see all types of different, you know, styles that it could go into, different modes it could go into. But for cooling, again, they cool. They're right there with a case fan, maybe a little bit better than your stock case fan, but still, that's where they're at. Radiator wise, no. Again, I still will not approve these for a radiator. Do not put these for your radiator unless you're not planning to maybe push your system, or you know, it's hard to even say put this with a radiator. Okay, look, I'll try to make it a little more easier for you. With a CLC, sure, why not? Even with a 120 CLC. A 240, you're pushing it. A 360 rad or bigger, no, I would not use these. Open loop, DIY, custom looping? No, do not use these on your radiator. And I'm pretty sure I don't have to say that to a lot of you out there who do custom loops. You're not going to use these on a radiator. You're going to lose lots of potential. You basically take a 360 rad and drop it probably down to about a 240 rad. All that extra surface area will be wasted because this will not be able to handle it. It's not going to hit those areas of the fins. It's going to have a lot of splashback, and then also it's dead zone. So again, do not use this in a custom loop. A 120, sure. A 240, you're pushing it. A 360, no. At that point, you'll probably be better off not even going with a CLC. And that's all I have to say about the Zalman SL120. It's a cool fan. It's going to stay right where it's at because, yeah, that's fine. I'm not planning to overclock this system and, you know, go ballistic with it. It'll be fine. I can always take off the side panel now and then if it throttles, which I doubt it will throttle. I don't believe it'll throttle. And again, guys, if you're interested in anything you saw in today's video, There will be links below. And don't forget, guys, try to help out the channel. Get us moved up the ranks a little bit so we can start bringing in something to start helping the channel actually to do a little bit more. So thanks for watching. I always appreciate everybody who watches these videos, and I will see you guys on the next one. Zalman out. Peace.